Welcome back to WRPL. It's the podcast where we talk about all the things we were watching, reading, playing, and listening to. My name's Ben.
I'm Steve.
What's up, Steve?
Not much, Ben. I have officially started vacation today, so I'm happy to start it off with you and then not see you for a whole week.
Yeah, we may not be recording next week, so this episode may be a little thicker than usual, but you were telling...
You know we like them thick. So.
You were telling me about this crazy vacation plan that you had. You want to give the listeners a taste of what you may be doing?
Yeah, so me and the family, we are going to drive across country and visit all the spots where serial killers have murdered their victims and take fun little selfies with them.
With the spots?
At the spots, yeah, like, and just kind of like recreate them as kind of like this fun little, road trip of the stars, all the famous killer. We're hitting all the spots. We're talking Ted Bundy. We're talking BTK. We're talking Jack the Ripper.
You're going across the pond.
No, I'm not going across the pond.
Oh.
I have a theory he came over here.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So,
okay.
I don't want to get like too, deep into the lore or anything, but, I have some theories. It was me all along.
Wow, this is really good for your son. He's going to, know kind of locations of places. Like, it'll be random towns, and he'll be like, oh, yeah, that's in Ohio. I'm like, how the hell do you know that? I'm like, I don't know why.
Yeah.
For some reason.
Math, who needs it? History, who needs it? Unless it's serial killer murders. Science, unless it's like the acid they melted the bodies in, who cares?
How long it takes to decompose.
Yeah.
There's science.
Essentials to life and essentials to taking life. And then we're going to learn all about it on this family road trip. It's going to be a beautiful.
That's awesome. All right. Well, our main topic, the topics, I should say, we both saw The Materialist and 28 Years Later. So we got a bunch of stuff to get into. We don't have a die, so we're going to, fake it with a digital one. You're just going to have to trust us. Okay, I'm rolling a D20 now. 15.
Wow, it's going to be tough to beat.
All right, Steve, this is your roll.
Do I get to touch it? Or?
Okay, I touched it for you, so you go ahead and roll.
It's going to be worse than this now.
Probably. 15. Oh, 15!
All right.
Okay, that seems a little sketchy.
We broke even.
All right, well, pretty good episode. Okay, well then, how do we tell who goes first?
Well, why don't you go first? Because you usually have more than me.
Okay.
And maybe I have more than you this week, but you know what?
I saw a bunch of new movies and one TV show. I'll start with the TV show because I think it's short and sweet. It's on Netflix. It's called The Eternaut or The Eternaut.
I had a feeling this would be a show that you would watch. I saw the trailer for it and went, oh, this looks like it could be cool.
Yeah, so it's from Argentina, Chile, South America. It's a South American show,
Okay.
And pretty much there's a huge power outage, and it starts snowing in the middle of summer, and they're like, what the hell is this? And as soon as you touch the snow, you die. And so there's friends who are trapped in a house, and they're he's trying to find his daughter and his wife. Other people are just trying to figure out kind of the logistics of everything.
But, so, I haven't seen the show.
Yeah.
Their skin has to touch the snow. It's like they can walk out and the snow can hit their clothes or their boots.
Yes.
And they won't die, but it's like direct contact.
Direct contact to your skin. But it's coming down pretty heavily. So when they do go outside, they are covered up in their jackets. There's a surplus of gas masks in this town because everybody has a gas mask or a scuba mask or something. And it's not really about breathing it. It's just keeping your face completely covered. But then they realize once it touches something, it kind of loses its power. Mm-hmm. So once it gets on your clothes, it's not going to kill you anymore if you shake it off and it touches something else. Oh. So it's a easy way for them to play a little fast and loose with the rules because they are going out, getting into cars, coming in and out, and no one's dying because one little thing hit their ear. And it's not just snow. I'm gonna just spoil it for you.
Sure, I'm probably watch.
It's only 6 episodes. It ends on a cliffhanger, so hopefully there'll be another one. But this is an alien invasion, and they're weird little roly-poly cockroachy sort of bugs,
Uh-huh.
and they're almost like a dung beetles where they're pushing all the cars and like making walls just by nature, so it's hard for them to use the train tracks to get to where they're going. And then when they finally find kind of where they're like holed up, there's this weird creature in a gazebo. You can only see its arm. It's like a human arm, but keep adding pinkies along the side of the forearm.
Gross.
And it's like controlling them almost like musically, wiggling its fingers through the air. And these bugs are able to kind of take people and bring them back to their home, but then release them, and now they're under the control of the bug. So when they find people like, oh, where'd you go? Like, yeah, I left yesterday, and then I just ended up in the middle of a field. I don't remember what happened. So they play along, but the bugs are actually using them as sleeper agents. So it ends on kind of a little cliffhangery with a reveal of one of the people being a sleeper agent. And I don't know, it was just kind of fun. It's not the most amazing thing, but I enjoyed it and kind of interested to see where it goes next.
So is this like they came on a spaceship? Did they land on
asteroids?
Asteroids, okay. Because it's always the kind of thing of just with like bugs. It's like, did these things really like develop in a galactic space travel? It's like, no, they just happen to
they're like
ride an asteroid. However they
attack
do
the
that.
block where they talk about it's like they're kind of like pollen of space, and they just kind of drift through and land wherever. I think it's something like that.
Watch Attack the Block. Sweet.
Yeah, we bring it up whenever we can, but yeah. So the Eternaut.
Cool.
Okay.
I'll start with the show. I don't think I talked about it on the podcast yet. I finished Big Mouth, the final season.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Big Mouth is a show I've always enjoyed, has some really funny jokes, does a good job of, sort of talking about, sexual topics and sex education in a funny way. It's more informative than the sex education I got growing up in high school, which was not much. But also, it's a very gross show.
It's disgusting.
Sometimes it's like, ooh, this is nasty. I don't necessarily want to watch this part. And all involving children, which is, you could argue is pretty weird. That being said, as much as I've enjoyed the show over the years, and like how much Lola makes me laugh, and how good Introll is at all these voices, and just like the cast in this thing is just insane. Like every famous person is in this show. Could play like a weird, like imaginary character or just a kid at the school. And I enjoyed the show. The final season's probably nothing compared to like other seasons of the show. It did make me chuckle some, but I'm glad the show is finally over, because it's a show like I felt like I've invested so much time in. Like I have to see how it ends. And I would say like by the finale, it ends on a nice way, and everyone sort of gets a good send-off. Nothing like super special, I would think. But
are they like going into the next grade or anything? Did they? Because I stopped after like season 3 or 4.
So I think it was last season they finally all went to high school.
Oh, okay.
And then this season it's just them dealing with like more high school dynamics, but it's not like it just jumps to them being in senior year. Like Andrew and the hormone monster, like in the final episode, they break up because he's like, Andrew, you're done puberty, like you made it, kid. So I'm gonna go be with Nick now, because he's still like
he still doesn't.
Yeah. Like Nick in the final season finally shoots up, like he's now taller than Andrew.
I noticed that because I was seeing a clip of every character's first line and last line of the series, and I was like, okay, why is the animation so weird? Why are some of these people so tall? You're like, oh, they're growing up.
And I think it's like episode 2, Andrew Nick goes to sleep, and then he wakes up, and then he just grew like a foot, and then he's taller than Andrew, and now he's like louder. Now he's like cool, and all that stuff.
It was very relatable for you because you shot up and
100%. But anyway, and so the season ends with like this white light like coming towards them, and Missy and Jesse are all nervous and stuff, and everyone's nervous. They're like, "What's that?" And I'm like, "I think it's the future." And they all just kind of like accept that they're growing up, and they're not afraid of the future and what's going to happen, and they just kind of like walk in this white light, and then the show is over.
Okay.
So it's sweet.
It's definitely a show I can see coming back in a few years, and now they're graduated high school. And
Sure, I mean,
well,
they could probably keep going and mine other stuff and talk about,
what's it like being
relation
in your 20s
yeah, what's
and
like being in your
drinking the first?
20s
Yeah,
and uh, relationships in that regard. But I think the show kind of ran its course, and they tried the spin-off stuff with human resources, which
that only
was
got the one season,
I
right?
think it got two
Okay.
seasons. Um, but yeah, Big Mouth, check it out. But I'm happy it's over, and they went out on their own terms, and it ended well enough, and still like made me laugh throughout all the seasons. But yeah, so long, Big Mouth.
R.I.P. I watched a new movie
Mm-hmm.
on Apple Plus called Echo Valley with Sydney Sweeney and Julianne Moore. Uh, I always like watching Sydney Sweeney in non-public Sydney Sweeney appearing roles, like The Voyeurs. It's like, okay, this is going to be a sexy role for her. I like seeing her ugly. Like she,
Quote unquote.
quote unquote, yeah. Like she was in this Hulu movie where she was the sister of a genius musician, and she was good too, but not as good as her sister.
Yeah.
And it was part of their like Huluween horror things. And I remember seeing it and not really paying any attention to Sydney Sweeney, and then finding out that it was her in what's that show?
Euphoria.
Euphoria, and going back and going like, oh my god, they really know how to make her ugly, and especially in this, she's kind of a junkie, so she's not all glammed up. I gotta say, Sydney Sweeney has one of the ugliest cry faces. Like this, she, and I think it works. It helps her because if you're too beautiful when you're going through all that, it's just nice seeing her not so beautiful. But anywho, the story. This one I think you should watch. I think this one is not so bad. But Julianne Moore. Her daughter is Sydney Sweeney. She's married to Kyle MacLachlan. They've gotten a divorce a couple years now because she realized she was gay or bi. She marries a woman, and they run a horse ranch and train kids how to ride horses. He went off, got married, had another kid, and Sydney Sweeney is just kind of always fucking up. She's always getting in trouble. She's dating bad dudes, doing drugs, going to rehab, leaving. And Julianne Moore is a pushover and will give her money and whatever sob story she has. So she comes home one night and she finds out that she quote unquote broke up with her boyfriend and threw all of his stuff off of a bridge and didn't know there was a big old package of drugs in one of the articles of clothing. So his dealer, Donald Gleason, shows up and is like, well, now you owe me the money. And she doesn't have it. So she's going to mom like, please, please, please. And she's broke because, she got remarried to that woman, got bucked off a horse and died. So now she lost her wife, her family is broken up, and she thinks like she's kind of responsible for sending her daughter down this path of destruction, blah, 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 blah. So she doesn't have any money. And it's pretty much like, get off my property. Then Sydney Sweeney comes back one night in the rain. She has blood on her and like, what the hell happened? Like, me and my boyfriend got in a fight. I hit him with a rock. He's fucking dead. I wrapped his body up. It's in the trunk. It's in the backseat of his car. I don't know what to do. And she's like, let me take care of it. Ratchets some cinder blocks to it, dumps it in a nearby lake, and is like, I got you, babe. And let me stop right there. Does that sound interesting at all?
Yeah, as you were talking, I forgot that I watched the trailer for this recently, and it was one of those things where my wife was just like, I'd watch that.
Okay.
Like, all right, if you want to watch it.
So I'm not going to spoil what goes on.
Good cast.
But good cast, and Sydney Sweeney is such a fucking bitch in this. Like, she plays all nicey nice with mom, but then when she doesn't get her way, she turns into an absolute monster. Oh, you want her to get hit so bad. She is no good. And Donald Gleason is good in everything.
Yeah,
he's
that guy.
He's great, but you don't see him being evil or malicious all that often, and he's like a bad dude.
Yeah,
so.
I'm used to like About Time Nice Boy, Dominic
Yeah,
Gleeson. Even though,
that's-
like, I know he played like a serial killer with the Steve Carell thing, and
Steve Carell thing?
yeah, you watched it. Like Domhnall Gleeson was a serial killer, and Steve Carell was his therapist. And he
Oh
kidnapped.
yeah, where he's like chained up in the. Oh,
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
forgot about that show.
Yeah.
Doctor in a Basement, I think is what it's called. Yeah, but yeah, it's not his normal go-to.
Yeah.
But he's really good in it. It's got some twists and turns, a satisfying ending. It was pretty good. I recommend it. Echo Valley.
I'm gonna rattle off 2 comic books back to back. So I talked about it on the podcast before, but after going to my local library, I realized they have, like, I think all of them that have been released so far. So I was just like, all right, every time I come back to this library, I'm just going to get the next, like, book of IDW's TMNT.
Oh, okay.
So
the most current
the
run?
most current run that's still going now.
Yeah.
Um,
I've heard, like, if you've been keeping up with Turtles in the past 10 years, their stories have been wild and incredibly good.
yeah. So I've talked about it, like I said before, I talked about it on the podcast before. I think I've been reading, I used to read them on YouTube. That's how I've kind of been reading them as I went. And now that I just see that the library has all of them, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to start over and just reread them. And just from the first volume is all I'll speak on. I think this is like the definitive version of the Turtles. You know, I've never read the originals that were like black and white, where they all had the red masks, and I know it was supposed to be like
A one-shot.
real dark and gritty and violent, at least for that time. Where then, like, in the late 80s, early 90s, they turned into like a kid-friendly thing. Where this one pays homage to like all the turtle lore before, but like reinvents it in an interesting way. Like, when the comic starts, they're all wearing red, but it's because Raph is missing, and they use that as like to symbolize, like, we are not a family, like, we're not whole. So I had you wear these red masks until we got Raph back, and then you see Splinter give them all their different colors to symbolize their individuality. But because we weren't one, I was like, oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, it's a nice like retconning sort of thing.
Yeah, and Raph, like. The thing I like the most is so from when they get ooze in this, it's like 15 months later they become like Ninja Turtles, and they were just like, all right, so how do these animals like learn fucking kung fu and all this stuff in like 15 months? And it turns out that the comic book says like makes it seem that, at least. I don't know if the story changes as it goes along, that they're actually reincarnated from people from like feudal Japan era.
Oh,
like Splinter is brought, his spirit is put into this rat, and his 4 children who were beheaded by the Foot Clan were put into these turtles like hundreds of years later. And he's like, I don't know why we came back as we are, but when this ooze hit us, like, it reawakened something in me. And like I remember kind of who I was. And then so Splinter was a warrior in the Foot Clan back in feudal Japan, and who was betrayed by Oroku Saki, and so he raised his children in isolation, and then they found him, cut off all 4 of his sons' heads in front of him, and then killed him, and then they were reincarnated as a rat and turtles.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I guess it's all like about fate or something like that, down the line. And then Casey Jones is a kid who's like, dad is a drunk and beats him, and he starts a friendship with Raph while he's away from his brothers because he was taken away by a cat, which I won't get into.
Because I've seen like there's anthropomorphic cat people.
Yeah, so his name's Old Hob, and when the ooze fell and like got on them, the cat walked by and picked it up, and so got ooze on him. So they like have a rivalry. So that's why Raph was separated from the other turtles for the past 15 months, because he woke up and like didn't realize who he was, remember who he was. So he's just been like roaming the streets, like fighting crime solo. Anyway. But yeah, so Casey Jones is a kid whose dad is a piece of shit and like beats him and stuff, but they like goes out and fights crime with Raph for a bit. April isn't a reporter; she works at the lab where the mutant Jin was, and so like she was the first. She knew the turtles before they were turtles. But the
Didn't
Ninja
they do that in the Michael Bay ones?
I don't remember the Michael Bay one.
Yeah, who does?
I don't think I watched the second one.
Okay, it's better.
Maybe I did. I don't remember.
It's better, but not good.
Yeah. But Anyway, this is like it's more adult. They kind of curse. Not like any like your kids could read this,
Yeah.
but it's definitely more for like young adult stuff. But Krang is in it. Stockman, like every sort of thing that you like about the Ninja Turtles is still in it. It just takes it more seriously. I would love to see an animated adaptation for this and make it more serious because like all the animated stuff we've seen before have all been like very kid friendly.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if The Last Ronin is from this universe or its own separate thing, but it really could be. But yeah, for the first volume, it's great and like really interesting choices to like how they incorporate all the stuff that happened before. Yeah, so I love it. I think it's great. We'll see how the story progresses as I read more of them. But yeah, TMNT by IDW, check it out. If you love Ninja Turtles, this is like I think the best version of Turtles we've seen so far.
All right. And the other comic?
And the other comic, I read Batman One Dark Knight. This one I'll speak very little on. It was just okay. Basically, the basic premise is Batman is transporting a prisoner from Arkham to Blackgate, or I think, or vice versa, which is like they're basically one place is across Gotham, and he has to get this person from point A to point B. This person is a villain who I don't believe I've ever seen before. His name's EMP, which is short for like Edward Marshall Parnassus or something like that. Yeah, it's just like his name, but it just happens to be like he has also electric powers.
Yep, that's how it works.
And so of course, like he has a gang that tries to break him out, and then his power is so like massive, like it just wipes out all the electricity in Gotham. So it's like one dark night. And so all these gangs come out because they want EMP dead for some reason. There's a subplot with this little kid who turns out to be EMP's son, but EMP before he went to Arkham, like his last time he like exploded because he can't really control his powers, like end up killing the kid's mom. Meanwhile, there's like some woman running for mayor, and she wants to kidnap EMP or kill him for I think revenge, because whatever. But her whole thing is like she's running on a platform of like tough on crime stuff, but she's like corrupt, and it's just a really uninteresting story that like goes by really fast. But like at one point, Batman has to like escape the gangs by going in the sewers, but running into Killer Croc, who has now had a cult of like people who like live in the sewer with Killer Croc, and they kind of look zombie-ish because they live in a fucking sewer. But they don't really explain like why they worship Croc. It's just kind of like written off as just like, oh, they think he's a god who just like lives below Gotham or whatever. It's like, well, that's his own comic book storyline that could be interesting. But it's just like we don't have any famous supervillains in this, so we threw in Killer Croc just to like bring in readers.
Oh, he's in the sewer. What can we do? Oh yeah, Croc's in the sewers. Yeah, fuck it, just put him there.
Yeah, and Batman saves the day and like
gets the prisoner.
Yeah, there's like no real interesting take on Batman, or like Robin doesn't show up. Alfred's on comms, but then Alfred disappears because like once the power goes out, like Batman can't communicate with Alfred really. He doesn't get to use like any of his gadgets because most of them are electronics based. All the gangs are like it's not like the Joker gang and Penguin gang. It's just like, oh, we're the Falcone gang, but then we're also like the E Street Players or whatever. It's like, well, who the fuck are those guys?
Yeah.
So it was just, I don't know. It was a fun, like, it's a cool title with a fun concept. It's like, okay, Batman should be like whooping fucking ass. Like, darkness is his realm. He's just getting his ass kicked the whole comic book. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's outnumbered and doesn't have a lot of his tech and stuff, but it's just like, what is like the overall theme of this story? I just didn't care about any of it, which was disappointing. So those are the two comic books.
All right. I started playing a game. It was one of the free games, I think 2 months ago, the Stanley Parable.
Okay, is that the like you have to do a bunch of weird stuff in like an office building or something like that?
You are just like an office drone. You realize none of your coworkers are there, and you got to go find what happened. And then there's a narrator that's just telling you what to do the whole time. So it's like
interesting.
And it's like, so Stanley needs to go to the meeting room, and you go there, and no one's there. And well, Stanley was confused, so he kept going. And then you get into a room, and like there's 2 doors, and Stanley took the door on the left to head to his boss's office. You can do that. Or you can go to the right, and the narrator will be like, okay, I thought I said you went to the left, but I guess this is your story now. And you have to do this over and over and over again, and things change. There's one time where there's a phone ringing, you could go and answer it, and it's just some automated thing, it's nothing. Then the next time you go through, there's too many boxes built up, and you can't reach the phone. And
Going between these 2 doors is what you're saying. Or just like
it could just be like once you leave your office, there's other offices you walk through, and it can just be like there was a paper there, and then this time around that paper's not there. You couldn't pick up that paper to begin with, but now it's just a little different. And so the first few times I was like, I'm following the narrator to a T, and I just
game's over in 15 minutes.
Yeah, the first time you go through, if you listen to everything, you get free and you're done, and then it just boop, resets it. And it starts again. And so I was doing most of it the same, but now I'll choose this. I'll press the left button instead of the right button. And how different that is. Oh, well, I noticed there's a way that says like escape. Mm-hmm. And it tells you to like go straight. Don't go down that way. And you do, and it ends up killing you. But you get dropped into like museums on the making of the game you're in, and then you're in a convention center of since this is like the deluxe edition with extra content, the like here's all the extra content we would put in, and it's like the jump circle. You go into the circle and you jump like 30 times, like you're out of jumps, all right, and then like a pit that never ends, and you can jump into it, and it's like, well, let's teleport to the top of this. You don't need to fall forever. And so I just let myself keep going, and then eventually there is a floor. Like, okay, I over-exaggerated. It's not an endless pit, but it's pretty damn deep, isn't it? And so you just have to go through it over and over again, find out all the different things. And apparently, if you go to find every secret in here, it's like an 8.5-hour game. Mm-hmm. But if you do the speed run, know exactly what you're doing, it's like an hour, maybe an hour and a half. So there's just so much. There's one part where he's talking about, he's like reading reviews for Stanley Parable, and from like actual reviewers, and then like comments from people who are like making fun of the game. And one comment is like, I hate the narrator. Sometimes I wish I could skip what he was saying. Like, so we invented a skip button. So you do it, and the narrator's just like, wow, you were just frozen there for like a whole minute. That's interesting. And then he'll just keep talking and talking until you hit the skip button again. It's like, whoa, that was like a whole day. You do it again. That was a week. That was a year. And then you do it, and he doesn't respond. And you do it again, and there's like a house plant in the background, and it's getting wiltier and wiltier, and then it's like end of days. There's leaks coming through the ceiling, the building's tilted on its side, you could climb out through the ceiling, and it's just like a desert wasteland, and it's like you've just been jumping ahead like, it's 1 year, 10 years, 100 years, 1,000 years, and he's not talking to you until eventually it just restarts you back at the beginning. Let's do it again. And
this game sounds fucking sweet.
It's awesome. I'm surprised you didn't grab it.
No, I mean I downloaded it.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I think because I was like,
what is this?
Yeah. Why not?
And there's 2 buttons. There's crouch, which I've used one time to get into event, and select. And it's like you have your little reticle, and if you want to get through a door, you got to try it, and if it opens, it opens. And like that's it. You're not dodging enemies. You're not shooting. It's just select and move. And with a really funny narrator telling you a really funny story. And you just got to figure out what happened to all your coworkers.
So if you do you listen to the narrator beat for beat, you're done in an hour or whatever.
I mean, you can beat it in less than that, but you didn't get any answers. You just get released from the facility, and it's like, hey, you won, but you got to find out why all your coworkers are missing.
Okay, got it. So without spoilers, I assume you did enough weird stuff to find out what happened to them?
Not yet. I played for only about 2.5 hours last night. So I haven't beaten it yet, because there is a point where you go, here we go again. I got to get to and it's not hard. It's like I just got to travel for 2 minutes to get to my first real option before things change up. And it's like, I just gotta get through it. And then sometimes it's not 2 doors. Sometimes it was 4 doors, or sometimes it was no doors. And like the narrator is very funny, and it's a good time. And anyone can play it because it has
Simple.
0 controls,
Yeah,
really.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I played a video game, and we kind of talked about it, but I didn't beat it at the time. I finished The Last of Us Part 2
Oh, yes.
again.
Yeah.
After watching the show, I wanted to get back into it, and I was like, you know what? It's been like 2 years since I've last played it, if not more. Let me try it out again. But you were like, hey, I played it with like unlimited ammo, super listening, unlimited crafting. You should do it
Auto
that way.
pickup,
Just breeze through it and just get to the story, because that's really what I was coming back for, was the story. And I gotta say, this game's great.
Yeah.
Looks great. Plays great. I don't think I'd ever do the unlimited stuff ever again, just because like I think you do lose a lot of like the fun of the game is like picking up the stuff and surviving and like having to be real careful and actually having the stealth, because like once you let's start the game with a machine gun, it's like it doesn't become like a game anymore. It's just like, oh, I'm just on a murdering spree until I get to the next cutscene. So you kind of lose some of the fun of that, I think. But going back to it, man, like I was just waiting for the Abby stuff, because all of the Abby stuff is by far the best stuff in this game. Like the Ellie stuff's good, but it's just she's not as fun to play as Abby, because Ellie is just this hate monster on a quest for revenge, where like Abby's a person who's questioning everything that
she's done with her quest for revenge.
Yeah,
she's losing her hate monsterness.
Yeah, she doesn't. You know, she meets Lev and Yara and questions everything that she's been doing for the past years, and like, you know, her relationship with Owen and what it all like means to like, you know, move on with your life and care about other people and not die for some war on land you don't care about, and all this like really interesting stuff. And also she's just like so much fun to play because she's big and badass, and she gets like all these like very similar weapons to Ellie, but they're all like different in their own sense, and it just plays more fun.
I love her single shot like magnum bullet. Love that thing.
Yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong with incendiary shotgun too.
Sure.
But yeah, just great looking stuff. The game's incredible. If you don't like it,
you're
fuck
stupid.
You.
Yep.
So yeah, I'll probably play it again in a couple years, but you know, just normal style.
Yeah, it's a shame because like if I want to download a new game, I only have so much space, and Last of Us is the thing I can get rid of because like I have the discs and everything.
Yeah.
But then I lose all my fucking info.
No, you don't.
When I started it up on my last playthrough, I didn't have any save information. Oh, you know what? Play it on the PS4. That's why.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't play them on PS5.
Okay. I was gonna say, like, I put it back in. I had all my stuff.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. So I watched Elio today. Pixar's Elio.
I had no desire to see that movie whatsoever, but then I saw a bunch of people go like, "Oh, I went to Reddit, and because I go on there and see what other people have thought about the movies that I've seen, and I was like, I'm not gonna go see Elio, but I'll see what they say about it. And everyone, it seemed like they kind of agree. It's pretty good.
It is pretty good. When it comes to Disney, they release a lot of shit I don't care. The Mulan live action is coming, a Mulan sequel, the Lion King prequel, Lilo and Stitch, you know, all these live action remakes that
Marvels.
Yeah, I mean, like I'll always give Marvel and Star Wars stuff a chance because they're separate from Disney, you know.
Yeah.
But when they release animated things that are original stories, I'm there for it. And this one it's treading a lot of the same grounds that you have seen before of wanting to be included, not having your family, finding friends, and finding your purpose and your people and stuff like that. Like, we've seen this shit in other movies before. But we don't do a lot of space stuff. Like, they did Buzz Lightyear, but it was so bland and boring. This is closer to Strange World, I'd say.
I didn't see Strange World, but I know what you mean.
It's not very good, but it's way more fun than Strange World. I really like the voice cast of Elio and, what's his name? It's like Robert like Globert or something. Sorry for that pause if I have to edit around that. But anywho,
Elio and
Elio. Oh yeah,
character
his
of
Glorden.
Robert Globerman.
Yeah, he's just got a silly
Something.
name. They're really cute together. They have really fun voices. It looks closer to Luca than anything else. Just kind of like that round Steven Universe smile,
Sure,
and his little friend Glorbin or whatever it is like one of my new favorite Disney characters. He's just so... I love his design. He's really adorable. He's very fun. Not a lot of big names in this one for a Disney. Zoe Saldana is his aunt, and not Patrick Warburton, the other tall, deep voice guy from Everybody Loves Raymond.
Fuck.
Brad Garrett.
Brad Garrett, there it is.
Yeah. So like those are the two biggest names. Everybody else just kind of seems like nobody. I guess Coach Beard from Ted Lasso is in it, but
Okay.
whatever.
Yeah, not a big name.
Not a big name. Yeah. I mean, I had to call him by a character name, so there you go. But it's just it's cute. It's fun. It's nothing groundbreaking, but it's not dog shit. Did
it make you laugh? Did it pull on any of your heartstrings?
I don't have heartstrings to pull.
But you could go like, I can recognize why this would make other people upset.
No, I don't think there's anything in here that gets to that point.
Yeah.
It's not that sappy. But there are some... I'd say I laugh more with just animation choices of, like, his aunt works for NASA or the military, and they're doing space stuff, and they're talking about like, did we contact aliens? And then the camera like pans over, and Elio's behind a glass, and he just has this look of like, oh my god, aliens, I'm so excited. And it's just like tiny little shots like that I think are very funny. I don't think joke wise it's all that funny, but it's just a good time. If you got young kids, this may be skewed a little younger than, say, the Moana crowd.
Okay.
I don't know. That's pretty young, too. I don't know. What's the deep thing? The Soul crowd, the Turning Red crowd. This is, like, that's for the preteens. This is for the 8-year-olds.
Yeah, what a weird thing to, like, make Soul as, like,
I know.
A kid's movie. Because, like, yeah, I mean, there's a part where they're all, like, cute little ghost plushies. They're all adorable in the afterlives, but it's like, this is a story about someone who died and went to the afterlife to try and then like at the end comes back to life and sort of thinks about what it is to be alive. Like, this is deep stuff that like, who thought that this is a kid's movie? But from what I remember, I like Soul.
Glordon is his name. Like Gordon, but with an L.
Classic alien
names, yeah.
All right. So my last thing before our two main topics is I read a book called The Sword of Kaigon, who the fuck cares? This book came heavily recommended by all the YouTubers I watch who talk about books. When I look for recommendations, they're like, this book is fucking the tits. It's a standalone novel. It's not... I mean, it's in a series kind of, but it's meant to be designed as a standalone, and it's Japanese inspired. The island or the country they live on is called the Sword of Kaigon, and they are the greatest warriors of the empire. They all have like ice powers essentially. It's kind of like Avatar: The Last Airbender, but like very serious. And there's like other countries, like this country, they're known for having fire powers, and these people have wind powers. And then there's like subdivisions of people with powers. Like this group has super strength, and then this group can like manipulate light to like create like illusions and stuff.
Okay.
And so basically, there's two main characters, a mother and son. The mother used to be a crime fighter when she was like in college. So this is kind of set in modern day, but on the Sword of Kaigon, they're all very old and traditional, so they kind of like live feudal Japan style, even though they like have televisions and stuff. Okay. But they don't have like cell phones or anything like that. They're getting their first towers so they can like have communication.
Okay.
And they just like pride themselves on being like great warriors and sticking to their values and like dying for the emperor and yada yada yada. Classic like ingrained social like all we care about is whatever
Honor.
our emperor tells us to. But anyway, so the mom, when she was in her youth, she fought crime with some friends from college to like because I guess the where she went to school there was a lot of crime in that area, and then she was married off to the greatest warrior on the island. And so had to go back, and now she's just some like housewife subservient who's just there to like pump out children for like him and keep the bloodline going.
Is he a bad dude?
Yeah, he is not a good husband. He's not a bad husband in the sense like he doesn't beat her and or anything like that, and it's just like he doesn't connect with her emotionally and like gives her nothing, and like whenever she like kind of like steps out of line, it's just like shut up, woman, like that kind of stuff.
Okay.
But you're just like just you want her to like leave this man so bad, and as the story keeps going and just keeps being shitty, it's like I know there's gonna be a chapter where like they justify all of his actions, but it's all part of this thing, and it does come back. And then the other character is her oldest son, who is like 14, I think, and he's now grown up, and he meets a friend on their first day of school, and this new friend is from another country and is kind of going like, hey, why are you guys all like this? This is stupid. Like, this isn't how the world works. And he's like, what do you mean? Like, this is how the world works. And he's like, no, you need to get out of this country because and it just kind of like explains to him like all your country's been lying to you about all this stuff. And he's just like, no, man, you're full of
So
shit.
they're kind of
Fuck
like
you.
a North Korea.
Sure, I don't know enough about North Korea to justify this statement. Anyway, so he is struggling with learning that the world isn't what he thought it was, and his mom is struggling in this marriage that is going nowhere, and like she's not really like living. And then war breaks out, and this group of people who have wind powers like come in, they form a tornado, and it's just like fucking up towns, and they have to break apart this tornado, and then it becomes like 100 pages of like a small group of ice-powered warriors just like mowing down like dudes with wind powers, and it's fucking sweet. Like the first 200 pages is just like kind of like family drama and stuff, which is like more or less interesting and like world building stuff, and then it gets to like the climax at the halfway point, and then it's just like these great warriors using powers in cool ways, and like the shitty husband, he has a brother who's kind of like the mayor of the town essentially, or the head of the area, whatever, and they like go back to back and form like an ice dragon thing that's just like eating other warriors and stuff. It's just like how the combat's talked about is like so fucking cool, and everyone's just making like Alamo last stands against all these warriors because it's just like basically like 25 dudes versus like thousands, and it's just they're fucking whooping ass. And then the mom, who's like, women aren't designed in their country to like take up arms and fight and stuff, but the mom,
But does she have powers as well?
she doesn't. Like, not everyone from that country has powers necessarily. She, I don't think she does, but she's just a great sword fighter. Because when she went to college, like there was like a sword fighting program that she went in and like excelled at and stuff. So then she has to like fight all these dudes with wind powers and stuff, and then she fucking is like cutting like 9 dudes down. But she hasn't been practicing like fighting for the past 14-15 years, so it's like she's a little bit rusty. But yeah, it like this whole big climax happens, and then a character doesn't make it out, let's say. So then that person is no longer there, and I thought like, oh, like, you think like, oh, they take a sword to the stomach or something like that, and they're gonna keep coming back, and then it's just like the chapter's going on. It's like, nah, like they haven't shown me a body yet. I bet he's still. I bet they're still alive. And then it's like, oh no, they're just dead. Spoilers for the book. And then there's like 200 pages left. I was like, okay, so what happens now? Like, then they find out like, oh, well, the Empire might not be what it's all it's cracked up to be. Like, all the people in the village are now learning, like, why did this attack happen? Why aren't we getting aid from the Emperor and the military? Like, they start questioning, like, hey, all this stuff seems kind of like fucking shady. Like, why is this all going down? Like, other members of other countries are coming in and going like, hey, give us all the bodies of everyone who died. Don't ask any questions. They're like,
Oh.
I think we should ask some fucking questions.
Uh-huh.
They're like, no, the emperor said don't ask questions, so you need to listen to the emperor. And they're like, okay. And then so the last 200 pages is like her and her husband just like going through like why the like you need to be a man and like protect us and like what the fuck is going on, like why, and it's just like their marriage problems.
Okay.
And then like they have a sword fight, which is really fucking cool.
Okay.
And it all leads to this like revelation and like why he is the way he is and how they kind of like reconnect. And it all works, but it's the weirdest fantasy like story structurally I've ever read, because usually it's like, oh, great warriors, they find out something's weird and they like start a rebellion and go after, well, that's
Yep.
like what you would think it is. It has nothing to do with that. Like there's 50 pages left. I'm like, okay, so like if they're pissed off at the emperor, like when are they gonna like go fight him?
Yeah.
They don't. It's not about that. Like so it just kind of like ends with them sort of like figuring out how to like become a family again. And they're not like, it hasn't, they're like, all right, well, we'll just deal with that later. Like it kind of ends in a way that like, oh, there has to be more. And so I looked into it because part of the book says like this is part of a world of stories, but this is designed to be a standalone thing. But I guess she like years ago released some, I think they're just ebooks, because she's a self-published author.
Okay.
That is set in this world involving characters from the story, but like in the future. So technically this is a prequel story.
Okay.
But you can't get those books anymore. I guess like the author, I don't know if they like weren't that good up to like her standards, or she's like, okay, the sort of Kaigon got really popular, so I'm gonna like shut this down and maybe do a re-release or something. I don't even know, because like you can buy the physical editions of the books for like $180 on Amazon, because like they didn't like come out. It's not like she mass published them. So like there's stories in this world that you can't read anymore, and it's so weird.
I bet it was because is this one also self-published, or does she have a book deal now?
Well, I think it came out self-published maybe, and then got traction, then got picked up and like really.
So they may have
there's
like
special editions of this book.
They
out now.
bought up all of her works.
Yeah, like her latest book that came out, I think like 2 years ago or whatever. Like I think that came out traditionally.
Okay.
But the books before sort of Kaigon, I think were all like ebook stuff.
Yeah, I bet it was like, hey, if we're gonna buy one, we're gonna buy them all, and maybe they're not good, or we're gonna just hold on to them until we can do a special release, or maybe she just said, fuck it, I want to redo these because I can tell them better. Now that I have this prequel story done, I think I can make some changes.
Yeah. So I'd be interested to see like those stories and what that's about. But yeah, so I don't think it lived up to the hype for me. I enjoyed it overall. 7 out of 10. But if you like Japanese anime, action sequence, Avatar kind of shit, it's like right up your alley. If you like character work, they're all really good characters. It's just like, other than this big battle, it's not like a lot of payoff. It's more just like family dynamic, emotional payoff, not, the good guys taking down the bad guys in big epic fashion. But yeah, the whole time I'm reading this, I was like, my mind's eye saw the whole thing. I was like, this would be a fucking sweet ass anime, I think. But then it would piss a lot of people off. And I was like,
where's the end?
When did they chop off the Emperor's head? It's just like, it's if you're watching Star Wars and going like, oh, we got to get Palpatine, but we're not gonna. The end, and it's over.
Yeah, I mean, that original Star Wars, yes, they blow up the Death Star, but Darth Vader just goes spinning out of control, and you don't know what happens. They don't show him crash.
Yeah, imagine watching Star Wars, and then you don't get the prequel movies, you don't get the sequel movies, you just get Star Wars. It's like, yeah, I really like Star Wars, but like, what the fuck is
what
next?
the fuck happened to Darth Vader?
Okay. The end.
All right, cool. I think we should get to our main topic, just time-wise. I saw Life of Chuck. It's good. Moving on.
Out of 10, or what's a grade?
Oh, I gave it I think a B or a B plus. It's just a nice story. I have some questions about it, but they're all spoileries. But I don't want to focus too much on that because we got 2 big movies to talk about. We're going to start with The Materialist, and This is Dakota Johnson, Pedro Pascal, and our boy Chris Evans
Chrissy Evans.
in a love triangle of sorts. She is a dating
A New York City matchmaker.
Matchmaker, that's the word I'm looking for. And she's just, trying to find people love, because it may not be in the cards for her. She let one go in the past that maybe her true love may really care about her, but she wants money. So she meets Pedro Pascal. He's super rich, handsome, loves her, hits checks all the boxes. But is it what she really wants? No, she goes back to Chris Evans. So
I'm gonna take a guess and say you did not like this movie.
I didn't dislike this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I can see the craft, and I like our two male leads. I'm not a big Dakota Johnson fan. I think she comes off very flat and like bored in all of her performances. She just has this kind of airy sort of way of talking, and I don't really buy her having trouble. It's like when beautiful people can't find love. Yeah, like there's a joke from Brian Posehn that I've said before. Like he was watching Monsters Ball, and Halle Berry just can't make she can't make any money. She's super poor, and like, well, just become a model. You look like Halle Berry. And it's the same thing. Like, you're Dakota Johnson, you're beautiful. She has amazing hair in this. Like, I wanted to pet her hair. It looks so soft and straight, and just the way her bangs and everything frame her face, beautiful.
Yeah, I've never been like a big Dakota Johnson guy, but I'm watching this movie and going like, man, Dakota Johnson is gorgeous.
Yep. She's just not, I think, the strongest actor. I'd like to see her, because like there's no difference between this performance and her Madam Web performance. I would
mostly agree with that.
It's just like the lines that she says, that she just doesn't.
I think she has better material. I think there's scenes in this where she's okay, where there's no scene in Madam Web where she's okay.
Yeah, that's
so I would say this is a better performance, but not by a lot.
I don't know. She doesn't like jump around a Pepsi sign in this one, so.
It was in the deleted scenes.
Oh, okay. I like Chris Evans in this, but he looked kind of sick. I'm used to like
getting old.
He could be getting old, yeah, and that's what my roommate said. Like, maybe he's not aging as well. He's not as big as he used to be, but and it worked for his character, because he's like a starving artist. He's an actor who's just trying to make it, but he did look a little, I don't know, less hot. Unlike Pedro Pascal,
I've seen him in interviews where he's just like got he's just wearing glasses and just like chatting up, and I'm like, God, this guy's like the most good-looking man I've ever seen.
So maybe they said, hey, can you lose 15 pounds just so you look like you're,
or just better lighting? Who knows?
Maybe, who knows? Pedro Pascal is good in this. I really like that they didn't. This isn't your typical romantic comedy, because it's not super romantic and it's not funny.
The trailers pitch it as a traditional romantic comedy,
with the voiceover from the 90s. It's shame on this advertising company that really misled this. But I knew that going in. Every review I saw was just like, don't look at the trailers. It's not what it is. So I knew I was in for something else. But still, I'm just not a big fan of love stories. There has to be the twist. I like a little bit of sci-fi or a horror. So, I like my two favorite romantic movies are In Time and Happy Accidents, and are both sci-fi adjacent. There's
the
time.
Justin Timberlake movie In Time?
No, that's
In Time.
That's In Time.
You're talking about Time?
About Time.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Hey, both sci-fis.
That's
About Time. It's time travel in it, but there's no big kooky machine or light beams or anything like that. But it is like science fiction slanted. Happy Accidents, he says he's from the future and she's trying to make it work with him. No crazy laser beams or anything like that in it. There's an element to it that isn't just, we're two hot people and maybe we can make this work.
Yeah.
And so when it is just three hot people trying to make it work, I'm bored with that.
Yeah. The twist should have been like,
and we do get a twist in this a little bit.
Sure, yeah. I think the twist should have been that, oh, well, I want money and Pedro offers me that, but I don't love him. I love Chris Evans, but he doesn't have money. How can I be the girl who has everything? Oh, I'll just be with both of them. And, like, that could have been an interesting take.
Sure. I
But-
can't see either of those guys be willing to do that. Because
No.
Chris Evans was like, okay, I don't want to share you. I love you. And Pedro Pascal's like, well, I'm super rich. I don't share. You're mine.
Yeah, which I get structurally it wouldn't work in the movie, but it would have been an interesting take of just like if you wanted, especially if you wanted to like lean into the comedy aspect of romantic comedy, it's like, okay, well, like I'm not even saying that the two men like have to like kiss
Touch each other. Yeah.
and stuff.
It's not like the end of Chasing Amy.
Yeah,
we all
more
got to have
just-
sex with each other.
It's more just like, oh well,
You get me Monday
it's
through
like
Wednesday.
a Savages thing. You remember
Okay,
that?
yeah.
And they just go. So the comedy aspect is just like these two dudes who have like nothing in common other than their love for her, and like, you know, he's classy, Chris Evans is not. Like there could have been some fun comedic things like that. She's like, "Oh, you boys,"
Yeah.
and then just bang somebody.
There's a little bit of that, like when she takes Pedro Pascal to Chris Evans' play, and he's going like, "Wow, how do you remember all those lines?" You know, just like very pandering.
Yeah.
Like there could have been some more of that, and
Sure.
I could see that being the funny aspect of the movie. But I think the funniest stuff we see is her interviewing all of her clients.
Oh, sure.
All the worst people in the world, men and women, they both suck. The men are worse, but the women suck too. I wanted to do this episode with Nick because okay, and I'm not saying Nick is a short guy, but Nick doesn't like that all girls want 6 feet tall dudes. You know, me and him are not 6 feet tall at all.
As someone who is over 6 feet, I enjoy being over 6 feet.
Shut the fuck up, Steve. But I wanted to talk to him to see how he felt because every woman in this is like 6 feet or over, 6 feet or over. It like that was more important to them than handsome or rich. It was like height was the most important thing. And if you are a poor shorty in the real world, this movie doesn't make you feel very good. And it's like eventually some people are like, yeah, she's settled for a dentist who makes a ton of money and stuff. Like even when she's settling, it's still for someone who's still way above our tier. And it's just like it doesn't make you happy watching this movie.
Yeah, that was something I kind of struggled with this movie, and as I was watching, I was like, I can definitely see there being articles coming out and going like how the materialists like sets women back.
Yeah, the
20
expectation.
years, you know, and I appreciate that the movie went men and women in the dating scene are both bad. I wish it showed some stuff outside of the matchmaking thing, but like that's not the story that they were telling because it's just going like, oh well, women only want these things and men only want these things. It's like only the people who pay for this service are seeking this because it's like the because very early on in the movie they're like celebrating her because she's got 9 couples together to get married, and then it's like, what's your secret, girl? And it's like, if she comes to you and says, I want a man who's over 6 foot tall, handsome, and makes $250,000 a year, you deliver. So it's the opportunity for these women to go like, okay, I can get someone better than me. I'm paying for the service. That's what I want. They're going to get it for me. Same thing with the men. So I don't blame them for like having these ridiculous standards per se.
Sure.
But the movie kind of posits, is that the word I'm looking for?
Yes.
That this is what all men want and all women want, and it's not true. So I think this movie kind of sets a bad example in that regard, but I see what it's trying to do. Like this problem's in modern dating that some people are dealing with now.
It could have been nice if she had a neighbor who was lower income or something, not as attractive, and she does hook her up with the local deli guy. You know, she's so good at it, she could even do it for just us uggos in the world, not just the pretty rich people.
Yeah, but then she wouldn't be making money off it, and she loves
No, I know, but it would be nice to see her deal with those situations that aren't
her career.
Her career and superficial.
Yeah. I was really excited to see this movie.
Because you like Past Lives.
Past Lives blew my fucking tits off. I love Past Lives. And
I was wondering what was different about you. Your tits have gone down quite a bit.
I had huge knockers, and now they're gone, and I've just fully transitioned to a man because Past Lives changed me. But I think Past Lives is pretty fucking great. And I thought the trailer for this looked good. I didn't go into it thinking, oh, classic romantic comedy, but I was like, oh, this is going to be a Celine Song drama with Chris Evans, and we love the Evans, so nothing can go wrong. But this movie didn't really. I liked it more than I didn't, but it didn't really work for me because I think while the clients were funny, they were all kind of insufferable, so I wasn't really rooting for any of them to find love. I agree, Dakota Johnson, I don't think was very good in this. I think it's a great performance by Evans, and I think Pedro, once again, delivers a really good performance.
Well, I mean, when his role is like, you just got to be charming.
Yeah,
Like, okay,
he does it well.
easy.
We've seen so many roles of Evans, like, not being a schlub, seeing him being a schlub, even a handsome one. It's not like... I just think he's just always somehow endearing in everything.
Yeah.
But I think all the best stuff in this movie is, and where I think Celine works as a writer is, like, when it's, like, they're having the deep relationship conversations. I think all that works really well. Like, whenever she's in a scene with Evans, I think all that stuff is very good. Whenever she's doing her job stuff, none of it works for me. When she's with Pedro, like the big Pedro monologue where he's describing like what he's looking for, and it's the slow pan while they're in this fancy restaurant. I think that scene's really good. I think one of the best scenes in the movie is them, like, their breakup scene, and him, like, talking about, like, the leg implants that he got, the Chekhov's leg implants that they mentioned earlier in the movie, and then him, like, shrinking down a little bit and going, like, would you still essentially like me like this? It was all just very cute and, like, adorable and, like, really well done. Like, it just seemed like a real breakup, but in, like, disappointment on both their parts, but, respect at the same time. And I just think all of that worked. I just wish the rest of the movie did. And then, so I imagine the twist you're talking about is like the client thing.
No, it was the leg lengthening surgery.
Oh, right, yeah. Which you find out someone added 6 inches to their, because they got a $200,000 leg surgery, enhancement surgery. You'd be like, what a fucking idiot! You spent $200,000 to be 6 inches taller.
Yeah.
But then him going like, it literally changed my entire life.
Yeah.
Like, women, I never struck out with women. I never had confidence, but now I do. Like, even if it's all like, you didn't need the leg implant, but it, like, something triggered you to get that self, like,
it could just be how
more
he carried himself, but it's also eyeline for women too.
Yeah, but it's like I got more respect at work, and so when you hear that, it's like, well, yeah, if you can afford it, why wouldn't you?
I mean, when you got a $13 million apartment in New York and that's not your, like, main home, you could afford the leg lengthening.
I think he only said it was like $4 million.
$4 million? I don't know. I thought it was at least in the teens.
I don't remember. It doesn't matter. More than we would ever.
Yeah, more than both of our lifetimes combined.
But whenever I see, like, super fancy rich people apartments, they always, like, although they look gorgeous in a sense, they're always so boring. Yeah. They're like, there's nothing on the fucking
They all
walls.
look like models. They don't look like homes people actually live in.
There was a wide shot of the bedroom, and it's just like there was a nightstand, a lamp, and then the bed. Like,
where's your art?
You have this huge ass room with a ceiling that's like 20 feet high. There's nothing anywhere. Yep. Like, have some fucking charm.
I've been seeing so many posts of people like, we bought this old house built in like 1920. Look at this old wood staircase that we have, and it's just not what we want. And they rip out this old hand carved thing and put in the most generic beige and black metal thing. Like, why ruin your house like that? Your house had character, and then you just put what's modern. And like, I would never be comfortable in those houses. Like, you don't see any dust, any marks on the wall. Like, it's not a lived-in place.
My house is filled with dust. Not just because we're filthy.
It's like, I would never be able to just, like, spend 8 hours on that couch shooting the shit, having a beer. I just always feel like, well, where am I going to put my drink? I'm going to leave a ring on the coffee table. Fuck that house. I'll take it, but
But anyway, I don't know if I cared for the, like, sexual assault storyline in this.
Yeah.
I think tonally it kind of really shifts the movie into a dark section that I get why they did it, because it's a thing, in the dating scene that women have to deal with. And like, I never thought of it, like, in a matchmaking set, as your career, you're putting two strangers together. And you can't, like, no matter how much math you do and how great they seem on paper, they can still be a monster. I mean, I think like that's an interesting thing to explore, but that's a movie in and of itself that could have been interesting, where it just feels like you needed to kind of humanize your female lead who like doesn't care about people per se, and now she's dating this rich man for his money, and it's like so you need to make her like care for another human being. It's just I don't know. I just didn't feel I didn't need all of that.
Yeah.
It was nice to hear the the shitty dude on the phone was
Oh, yeah?
the guy from Past Lives.
Oh, was it?
The not the Korean guy,
Her
like,
husband?
her white husband.
Yeah.
I forget that actor's name, but he's been in a bunch of stuff
Mhm.
like him. Anyway, so yeah, it just
And,
there's some
and
choices in this I just didn't care for.
and like we get that a little earlier, but the movie is a little long when like they're gonna go she breaks up with him and then she's with Evans and they're gonna go out of town, then they follow the catering truck and then crash a wedding,
Mhm.
and then she gets a phone call about this guy who assaulted her and is banging on her door, and then she's gotta come out, and it's just like, when is this thing gonna fucking end? It like them her showing up at his doorstep and saying like, oh, can I stay here, and like, well, let's go north in the country or whatever. Like, that was a good ending spot right there. We know
Yeah.
they're going to get back together, but then they just belayed it by doing all this bespoke white people wedding, where it's string lights and mason jars at the
Hey, they were a mixed
reception.
race couple, buddy.
Oh, that's true. That they were, but it was a white person wedding with a mixed race couple. um, so I think it was a little long, and it needed to end. And they probably could have pulled out the assault stuff, especially if they're not going to capitalize it in a certain way. I'm glad they didn't make Pedro Pascal a bad guy in some way.
Yeah.
I was waiting for his job to be like, oh, I work in finance for an evil oil tycoon.
Yeah.
Like for the something that is really fucked up that's maybe even affecting Chris Evans' life, like, so to give the reason to break up with him is because he's inherently evil. So I'm glad they didn't do that.
The other version of this movie is like Chris Evans and Pedro Pascal have more scenes together because they really only have the one, I think.
Yeah.
And then like they're butting heads, and like there's that machismo,
Yeah.
like, she's mine,
She's mine now,
thing,
yeah.
and
She'll always love
like,
me.
You find out Pedro Pascal had like hired goons to like beat him up before his play or whatever.
Sure.
It's just like, oh, this dude is a psycho. But it's like, no, they're both good dudes. It's just they have different things about them. Sorry to interrupt you, but
No, that's fine. I'm this movie could have been played out in a much more obvious way, and I'm glad it didn't. But it feels like if you're going to have that assault thing in there, that it would come back and happen to her because Pedro Pascal's pissed off because when she sees the scars on his legs, he gets out of bed really angrily. It's like, uh-oh, here's the turn, and he's going to do something fucked up. And he doesn't, but it just feels like they were sowing the seeds for something else.
Yeah. Last thing I'll say, I think if I would change one thing about this movie, I need more Evans, and I don't mean that because in terms of like we're fans of his. I'm not doing a bit. I think my problem with his character in this is that like we only get one scene of a flashback with him.
Yes.
I needed more reason why he loved her. I know that it's not really the point. It's just like because the whole thing is just like I can't really explain it. I just love you for who you are, because she's like, I'm self-centered and care about money. Like, I'm not a good person. I'm cold. I don't know why you love me. And he's just like, I just do. So I guess in a sense you don't need those flashbacks, but like
I want to see the good times.
I want to see the good times. I want to see like what is it that made you attracted to him other than him being handsome. Like you have tidbits of like, oh, I used to be an actress, but I didn't have the passion like you did, so I gave that up and did this thing. But like I wish we just had a couple more scenes of like them being together, the good times, like where you could tell, like looking into their eyes, like, oh, I believe these two are in love. And where, she stares into Pedro's eyes, like, oh, I see that difference. Because they look at each other and they're not in love, but they love things of what the other person offers.
Yep.
And it's just kind of like, I don't know. I just wish there was more of them together.
Yep, absolutely.
So that's my biggest complaint. You can keep all the other stuff if you have to, but I really wanted to see like why
Them
Chris
la-
Evans like never gave up on her.
Laying in bed together, watching a movie, laughing. It could be completely silent with just a song, just showing him cooking breakfast in his crappy little, kitchen. And his roommate comes out and they got to be quiet and they're giggling. Just little things of why I love you.
Yeah.
But we get
And-
one scene of like, pay the fucking parking meter. I don't have the money.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's some solid comedy stuff of him, like, living with his roommates and stuff.
Stepping
like,
on condoms.
Stepping on condoms and whatever. It might have been fun to see, those moments of, like, disgust where, I was so embarrassed that she, like, stayed in my apartment and my roommates were gross and, like, all this stuff. But, like, there was still, like, nice, like, and they talk about it, she's like, I look back on those moments fondly. Like, yeah, it's not what I wanted in the long run, but, like, those were good times.
Yep.
It's like, okay, now I see why they love each other. Because, like, that gross, stupid stuff of your youth doesn't matter.
Yep.
But we never saw any of that.
Last two things I'll say. One thing I really liked, a lot of smoking in this. People don't smoke in movies anymore. Like, I could see a fat cat smoking a cigar to look like a pompous asshole, but two of our leads go out and have cigarettes on multiple times. Like, our lead is a smoker. You don't see it, and I'm kind of here for it.
And everyone in this is a smoke show.
Oh. And then, when she meets Pedro Pascal, he asks, hey, can I get you a drink? And she says, I'll take a Coke and a beer, and he brings it automatically. What? A Coke and a beer? Do you mix the Coke in a beer? Is that a thing for her? Or does she just like to drink the Coke with the beer because they complement each other? I thought that would pay off something like it was something Chris Evans showed her when they first met. Like, oh, this is, how some people put like boiled peanuts in their Coke.
Sure.
It's like, oh, this is a thing from my hometown. And you go, oh, wow, that's really good. And it was their first bonding moment.
Yeah.
But that doesn't pay off at all. And it's not explained either. Why the fuck a Coke and a... It's even in the trailer, a Coke and a beer. So, yeah. So it gets an F.
I didn't... I didn't think that much about it, but looking back, yeah, that is kind of a weird ask.
Yeah.
I see it paid off for, like, the bit of it all.
I guess.
In terms
it could have been anything. He's like, I like dry martinis. Boom. He brings it down. Oh, look, you're here. It was like the only reason was to get him to the table to reintroduce himself.
If she said, I want a beer, and a beer appeared, I don't think it would have played as well because you needed something more specific. Like,
Sure.
It needed to be a weird order
Yeah.
for it to go like, how did he do this magical thing? Because like, oh, give me a soda. It's like any waiter walking by could have just overheard that. Bam. But it's like, oh, you already had a Coke. And so I'm saying structurally, I think it makes the bit work. But as a human being choice, like, why would you pick those two things at the same time? Because then I think you'd have to drink them so fast, otherwise they both get warm.
Yeah.
It's like, you don't want a warm soda or a warm beer.
I don't get it.
Anyway, Materialist. I'm going to give C.
I gave it a C+ because people be sexy. All right, let's get to the main topic.
Here we go.
28 years later, a movie that you said was your most anticipated of this year.
Okay.
You just have to trust me on that
trust
because
you.
you don't remember anything. Once I hit stop on the
I can't think
computer,
of any other movies.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't say Superman or Jurassic Park or any of the things. Toxic Avenger.
No.
It was this. I was also very excited. Loved the first two movies. Danny Boyle, Alex Garland coming back.
Can I take a guess of what you thought about it?
Sure.
I think you just thought it was okay.
No, I really like this movie.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Because I fucking love this movie.
When I first left.
It's either this or Sinners. I'm up in the air about which one's my favorite.
Okay.
But this is definitely... It's a fight for the top spot.
I had this lower rated when I first left. It's like there was so much good, and we'll get to that ending.
Yeah.
It made me think like, well, I really thought the movie was gonna be this, and then when it wasn't that, I figured it would go this direction, and it didn't do that, and that was just me like. Just expecting things, and they wanted to do
enough movies. You see how they play out.
They wanted to do their own thing, and so as I sat with it and talking to my roommate more, I was like, "Oh, I'm liking this movie more and more," and I think I love the ending as well. Like I'm seeing reviews of this is the worst movie of the year. This is one of the worst movies I've seen in my life. ridiculous.
Oh, you
Even if
see
you
it.
don't like that
You're
last
not talking about real reviews. You're talking about people like
people on
on chat.
TikTok.
Okay.
Yeah, not like publishing, but people who get paid to say these things. Um, even factoring in like you take out that last 10 minutes of the ending.
Not
Like
even. It's like 3 minutes.
true. I can't see why you would hate this movie.
Yeah.
You can't, that ending can't sour you that much because this is a really good movie with an interesting story. I have issues with the editing. Mainly, I know it's like shot on an iPhone, but every time one of the zombies got shot with an arrow, it would like do shitty bullet time,
Yeah.
and and it looked like shit. I hated it. It really drove me nuts. When an arrow would just hit that fat guy's neck and the blood was just going nuts, like yeah, hold on it, let me see it. But when you have these things running and you're just doing these quick cuts, it hurt my brain.
Okay.
But all in all, this movie's pretty great. I enjoyed it. I will say, before I let you talk, it's not as scary as the first one.
No.
It's not as fun as the second one.
Agreed.
But for knowing that they are trying to make 2 more movies after this, and this is the starting point, I like this.
Fair enough. Yeah, I went into this excited. I didn't have any real expectations because like it's a third entry. Like what?
I don't know, 17 years
15
later.
years.
Yeah.
17. Yeah, 17 years later. Because the last one came out in 2007. You know, I was a big fan of both of them. But even though Danny Boyle was coming back, I was like, there's a good chance that this movie might not be good. But from the trailer, I was like, I like how it looks. And I was really blown away by this movie. I'm gonna give this movie an A minus.
Oh.
I dug it from beginning to end. Well, not the end. I didn't love the ending. Knowing what I know now, I'm like, okay, maybe the ending's not that bad. But those last 2 minutes didn't sour me enough for the rest of the movie. I would have been happy if they cut it, even though it was cool to see Jack O'Connell. But we can talk about it later. This movie made me feel good about filmmaking because it felt like it fit in the world of 28 Days Later. Like they're good companions. I know it's like, well, isn't it obvious, Steve? They're in the same universe, but it's been a while since I've seen a movie like this where a director made so many directing choices that in any other movie would be like so distracting and like kind of take you out of it. But all the like choice in this, it felt like it fit perfectly, but it was also a director like trying things, but also trying them successfully, where it never really felt so out of place, where it like takes you out of it. Like there's a scene where there's a dream sequence where that is shot in like all red, and you see his mom in the water, and her eyes are like kind of like the vampire eyes from the Sinners, and she's just like talking to him and like in the water, but it kind of like just looks like blood and stuff. And like I thought that was very effective. There's shots of like the camera like panned down low that is just like looking at the shoulders and head of the two characters, but like in the sky in the background, it looked beautiful. There's wide shots of like the countryside vistas that all look gorgeous, and just the silhouettes of like the alpha standing on top of the hill while like the other ones like run up. It's like so scary and visually striking. Like the jumps to like all the zombies running and it becomes drone shots, or it becomes like shaky cam, like whenever the like action happens, it turns to shaky cam. And I've never been the biggest fan of shaky cam stuff, but I think because 28 Days Later kind of like is one of those movies that kind of not started, but it's kind of known for with the rage zombies and stuff. Like it worked because this is a transition of that continuation of that universe. But then like all the moments of stillness, I just thought were framed really beautifully. And also there's so many post-apocalyptic things where it's just like everything's gray and monotone or like blue, and it just looks boring, and all that stuff. But there was colors in this that are so bright and vibrant. Like I really love the look of this movie. Like no matter how like violent and dark this movie was, like there's a fucking big ass penis monster guy who's like ripping dudes' heads off Mortal Kombat style. But then it's so bright and colorful, like it felt hopeful. And so when the movie takes that second act turn where like the first half of this movie is like father and son in the wilderness teaching his son how to survive, and kill monsters, and then but then the second half is just like a age story of a boy like learning to like let go of his mom
Mm-hmm.
and become his own man, and like is like this beautiful emotional story that like has very little violence. I was like, oh, okay. It just becomes like this nice sweet movie.
Yeah.
What I respect about this franchise in general is like the first one is kind of this horror movie that you know changed a lot in terms of like zombies that weren't dead and they weren't about brains.
We didn't have fast zombies until 28 days later.
That's not true.
Really?
Yeah, they were the first ones to like make them famous. But there's a podcast I was listening to that did like a, it was like a 30-minute like history of zombies. It's really interesting.
Okay.
It all goes back to like Haitian slavery.
Yeah,
but
sure.
anyway, there was fast zombies in another thing before.
Oh.
It turns out zombies actually like originally started as just like people like kind of like dead-eyed and stuff who like were just obedient servants. So they were zombies.
Yeah,
But
the
then,
voodoo type
but then when
zombies usually were
yes.
like that.
But then eventually after like the 50s, when
Romero yeah.
changed them into the undead.
Yeah.
And then Americans made them into monsters
Mm-hmm.
and popularized them. But anyway, we're getting down a history line. Doesn't matter. I forget where I was going with it. Oh yeah. So the first movie was this horror thing, and the second movie was kind of more of like a horror action movie,
yeah.
and this one it's a horror like coming of age tale. It's not about there's the first half is actiony, but it's not like big guns and taking down a bunch of monsters. There's like 1.5 action scenes, and then there's not really any more action scenes after that. I mean, well, you get the soldiers. Never mind.
They get the soldiers in the train when after the baby.
I wouldn't really count it
I mean,
as
it's more of like a chase
chase.
more than anything.
But
then you get like Jodie Comer is attacking zombies in the middle of the night. Like, she doesn't remember doing it.
Yeah.
But one would like she puts the coat over its head and bashes it against the grave. I thought that was gonna go somewhere.
Yeah.
Of her kind of having these like
maybe
sleeper cell agents,
or like she was putting on an act this whole time.
Maybe,
for some reason. But no, it's just what I also liked about this movie is I don't remember in the second one them like adding any bonus creatures. Like you play a video game, and it's like how do we up the ante from the last game?
Yeah.
You add new monsters to fight or whatever.
Well, so did. It was the mom. She was an infected who didn't turn. She was immune, but a carrier. Because remember, the husband kisses her and he turns.
Right.
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
But she gets killed instantly. She doesn't like become a monster to attack.
Yeah.
But she is a variant.
Okay. It's been a long time since I watched 27 Weeks.
She's the Ellie of.
Sure. But this one includes alphas. And fat crawlers.
Fat ones,
we'll call them.
Yeah.
Which I thought was nice. It's okay. There's the ones that have been infected for like years that are like you see that one like super skinny one that clearly has not been eating.
Yeah.
But then you have the fat ones who are just like eating worms.
Anything.
Just eating anything. I thought that was a nice touch.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if I love the idea of alphas, but I like the idea of like some of them. Like the rage virus acts as like steroids, so some of them just keep getting bigger and bigger, which I like that idea. I just don't know if I need one to be like the leader.
The commander, stands back while the soldiers go in.
Summons them. And but whatever. I was cool with it.
Hanging dong.
But I love those shots of like them kind of like in their like den in the middle of the woods. And they're it's like they're looking at the camera. So just all very scary.
Yeah.
But favorite sequence, I wonder if it's yours, is the chase sequence at night on the like pathway.
Okay.
I just thought that was really effective. Like,
that was
gorgeously shot.
Yeah.
In the night with the like background of like I don't know why the fucking Aurora Borealis is there, but it kind of reminds me of that.
No. I mean, they're higher north than where we are.
But just that look, and then just like the stomping of the alpha coming up behind them.
It's like a shadow through the darkness.
Yeah, just so fucking scary.
Yeah.
Like, just really great horror sequence. And I like that the world like kept on going too. Like
outside of the island, yeah.
Britain is fucked up, and everyone's just like, well, let them figure it out. Fuck them.
Yeah.
And they just we'll keep a post around to make sure like no infected get outside.
I kind of forgot that it wasn't a worldwide thing when the Swedish guy showed up and he has like a cell phone and like you know, when you
Talking
watch
about Amazon delivery packages.
yeah,
stuff,
and I was like,
oh,
wait a minute, how is this? They weren't doing Amazon delivery back in 2002 when the first movie came out. I'm like, oh yeah, everybody else is fine.
Yeah.
It's just here that got fucked.
The only question I have about that, and it's not even really a question. Like, I'm okay with the world moving on, and just said like, fuck it, Britain's just a shit place where everyone fucks their sisters or whatever because they're all inbred because they're all like killing each other, so they can only like date their parents or
Got
whatever.
it.
Because that's the kind of the joke he was making, the Swedish guy. But it just seems like, as threatening as these rage zombies are, and like obviously it's so easy to get infected.
Yeah.
After all this time, and like there's people who like are on this island who are surviving, like you'd be sending like news teams there to interview these people and like, oh, how are you guys surviving? And it's like, okay, we're relatively safe. Or like you have these military ships like going around making sure no one gets off. Like you have to be doing like sending research teams in. I know that's like kind of like what 27 weeks was. It was just like, oh, the Americans come in and are trying to kill
28 weeks.
20.
You said 27 weeks.
28 weeks. Sorry, 28 weeks later.
I mean, it could just be a worldwide. They said no one goes there. No research, no helping hands, no interviews. It's done. We're gonna patrol it, and if you go on there, you're fucking dead and on your own.
It just seems like
because anybody could bring it back. You know, you get a little drop of blood that gets on your clothes, and someone touches it and rubs their eyes, and then boom, you got another outbreak.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like there's ways where we could like keep trying to get rid of them. Well, maybe they just think like, oh, eventually they'll just die out because they're going to run out of shit to eat. But
yeah, or it's like enough winters happen that the body would decompose a little bit because they're exposed to the elements.
Yeah, or like they're not wearing clothes anymore because they've all been, infected for X amount of time. Yeah. Like obviously they all haven't been infected for 28 years.
Yeah.
But if they're not like wearing clothes, like there's snow and like are they staying warm? Like are they dying out? In
maybe
the
they huddle
up.
Steroids
keeping them together.
Yeah, who knows?
Also, we haven't even talked about these zombies be fucking.
Yeah,
there's a pregnant zombie which is such a weird choice.
I was confused at that. Talking to my roommate, she was saying, yeah, like they're getting into like just piles and fucking or something, and they can still get pregnant. I just assumed it was a pregnant woman who got blood on her, and she was in her 8th month. She became infected, and she was just still pregnant. But apparently, I guess it is. They are having sex with each other, which I wish this is going to sound stupid, but I wish they would have shown that, like when they are in their downtime and they're not running after food, like in
well, I think the movie doesn't say it, but I think what we're supposed to gather is that 1, the alpha is the father of that baby.
Yes.
2, if the alphas are smarter, I imagine like the basic zombies, they're not really fucking.
Probably not.
But the alpha, who's more up there, cognitively, he's like, okay, I can have sex because it's like a way to like get the rage out, I guess. Or
maybe.
Whatever. So I think it's just alphas are fucking. Not everyone's fucking.
Okay, I mean that's fine. I just it seemed like something that they would be huddled in piles in caves. And something slips in here and there. Shit happens.
Well, like if they're fucking, like I'd be masturbating. My rage zombie would just be a masturbating rage zombie. Like I'd be so busy jerking it that I wouldn't be even like bother. Like, oh, you guys go chase that person. I'm firing.
I'm chill
off.
Now. Yeah, that baby was weird. There's something about apocalypse, or you got to be like a quiet place. Oh, you got to be quiet. You can't have a baby around. That I'm just like kind of over.
Yeah.
But I really thought that baby was gonna go. I thought at one point the baby was gonna get killed. I'm glad it made it back to the reserve. But yeah, what a weird choice to have in here for no reason that I can tell, just to add to the lore, and maybe it's something that will pay off in later movies, but it just seems weird to have it in this one.
Yeah, it was kind of like one of those things where there's in other movies it really pissed me off in terms of just like, okay, there's so many different story things in here that we could do that you're not really expanding on at all. Like you're throwing in the first time in this franchise we've seen a pregnant zombie, and then it gives birth, and it's also not a rage baby.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, and like knowing the very limited things I know about birth, it's just like, there's women who like have cancer and they're pregnant and because they're cycling through the blood and stuff, like the baby like can get rid of that cancer by cycling that stuff out. So it's like, okay, I can buy the idea that this baby doesn't get infected because
Sure.
it's just been cycling through this blood and it's like not necessarily a carrier, and also it's a made up virus, so we don't know exactly how it works.
But the baby wouldn't survive if she gave birth to it and it's in there crying because they lock hands, the zombie and the woman, Jodie Comer, and like there's a moment of please help me, like
it's like it was like a mother to mother thing of just like
transcending the virus,
yeah,
and then but as soon as she has it, she goes to attack Jodie Comer,
yeah,
and if Jodie put that baby down, the zombie would have just ripped it apart, I think, because it's not gonna pick it up and cuddle it. Would the alpha come and try to take care of it? No, I think they would just be in their rage zombie mode and start killing it.
Yeah, and you have to wonder, like, what was her... I mean, if you think about anything, and you're going to be like, that doesn't make any fucking sense. But it's like, what was her diet like that would, like...
allow her to stay
her
pregnant?
To have a healthy baby at all.
Enough protein, just eating people. Worms out of the ground. Who knows?
I was gonna say, like, are these things drinking water? But there's a scene of you see them like kind of washing up in a pond and slurping whatever. Anyway, whatever. But they still have to like get like tetanus or something.
Yeah,
like, they're eating and drinking like not healthy things.
Yeah, I don't understand why they put this in if in my eye the zombies would just kill the baby anyways. Why even have this be a part of the lore?
Yeah. And I mean, they probably would have killed the baby, even though it makes it seem like the dad was like, give me back my baby, but like to what end? Like, you're not gonna raise it. But
I mean, but maybe they just pick it up and they spit up some blood on it, turn it into a rage baby, and then they just keep it. And I don't know, it can't walk, it can't run at that age, regardless of how mad it is.
You know what, we don't have to worry about it because we'll never see it.
Who knows? We got the 28 years later, the Bone Temple coming.
Yeah, I mean, we might see that baby again. I'm just saying, like, we won't have to worry about that question. But yeah, it seems like, was it just there to sort of give the mom and Spike something to take care of, and just like, hey, here's this other kid. Like, it shows Jodie Comer as like this good mom, because like as soon as the baby comes, she doesn't like ever revert back to like forgetful mom. She just becomes this loving mother figure, and reconnects with Spike one last time, and then it's just kind of like, well, I'm too young to raise this baby. Hey, Dad, fuck you. Now you have to raise this kid. Maybe it's something with that. But that being said, it was an interesting choice that in another movie you go like, well, what does this mean for the grand scheme of things? But this movie has no interest in that. It's not about the zombie baby. It's not about a cure or immunity or whatever. It's just like growing up in this world. What's that like?
I do like whenever there's someone who's born in an apocalypse and someone says something like, oh, my cell phone, or use Google Maps, and they're just like, what's that? So that's always fun.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about Ray Fiennes at all.
Yeah.
You when you were talking about like pops of color, when he shows up and he's covered in iodine, I thought there was like something wrong with the film. Like it was developed incorrectly, but I knew it was shot on iPhone, so there is no film, because he is just like neon through it. He looks so out of place, and it fucks with your eyes, but it was really cool.
Yeah. I think he's great in this.
He's awesome.
I think it's his ability to, like, he's played so many scary characters, like Schindler's List and Red Dragon and stuff. Like, he's a
scary character of Oscar Schindler. Oh no, God, cut that. That's fine. I forgot.
He's the main villain.
He's the bad guy.
Yeah. But we know he plays scary, but
Voldemort.
Voldemort, yes, thank you.
The Kingsman guy.
But I don't know if it's just like the Shakespearean actor in him, like his ability to look scary in this, but only ever be like loving and caring and reassuring. Like the way he like talks to his mom and sort of eases Spike into this transitional period, and like, I know I'm gonna have to kill your mom and I'm gonna melt her down, which sounds very fucked up.
Yeah.
It is, but it's done. It's handled so like well that I don't know. I just think he's doing a really good performance in the limited time he's in there, because and he just comes off as like in the beginning you're like, oh, what a kooky guy, because you know it's the movie sets it up like, oh no, this guy's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
In a sense, he kind of is, but like at no point in the movie do I ever feel like he is a crazy person.
No.
It's
He's just been alone.
He's just been alone for a long time. And like that shot of like the dad going like, here's the story of like why we don't fuck with this guy anymore, and just like seeing all those bodies like lined up in a row, like that's a crazy thing to do. But it was all just part of his like art project. He's just a doctor who's like really into sculpture. It happens to be a sculpture full of dead bodies of people's, you know, bone remains. But like him just putting his skull, his mom's skull, and like kissing it and putting it on top of the thing and looking out of the distance.
I was like, boom, done. You're done.
So beautiful.
It's like, yeah, they could have extended it to him bringing the baby back and hooking it up on the thing, but it just felt like the perfect place to end the movie was he puts the skull up there, the sun is rising, it's like happy ending there. Like, nah, we got a few more things up our sleeve.
Yeah, I would have. I didn't know that there was going to be sequels.
Yeah.
Allegedly 3. Or like 3 total.
Yeah.
So knowing that now, because I didn't know that when I watched the movie, I was like, okay, so I don't hate the ending as much. It's just so fucking weird.
Yeah. Because in the beginning, we see a little boy and with his sisters, and zombies come in and kill everyone except for him.
Which I kind of dug.
Yeah, that intro, they know how to do their intros.
Yeah.
It's really awesome. And his name is Jimmy. And throughout the movie, you're seeing like Jimmy graffiti on stuff. Someone has cut Jimmy onto one of the zombies.
And they never explain it. It's just kind of like, what the fuck is this about?
Yeah. But I didn't connect those two because the main dude's name is James Craven. His name is James. Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Is it James?
It's James.
Oh.
And so it's like, oh, this is that kid. I assume
that kid was blonde. I was like, so did he grow up and just got dark hair?
It's working in the woods and stuff. You get dirty. And you know, like our buddy Nick, dark-haired dude, was a blonde kid when he was little. So it happens. And so it wasn't until the very, very end where you see the crucifix necklace that it dawned on me like, oh, that wasn't him the whole time? That's crazy that you would have a Jimmy and a James. But then, yeah, this little kid just shows up with some tracksuit, Eastern European looking dudes. Like
Eurovision.
Yeah,
if they
b-boys, you know, like they're a bunch of blonde break dancers
who are really good at fighting zombies.
Yeah, but I did
so weird.
The flips were unnecessary. It was very Power Ranger-y of flipping into an action scene. But I like their thing is we have almost like a pool skimmer bag that you put it over the head and then you could beat the shit out of them and don't worry about the blood splattering because we got a nice covering for it. I like the way they took them all out, and it'll be really interesting to see where Spike goes with them, because are they good dudes? Are they just like, yeah, we get all the random orphans and kids that we can find and we just became a family? Or are they up to no good? And we'll find out. But very strange ending. And like me and my roommate, we're on the edge of our seat because we see enough movies, you can tell it's winding down, we're about to cut to black, and then it just keeps going. And we're like, what the fuck's going on? We're trying to leave here. And when it's done, we're just looking at each other like, what the fuck was that? And in
any other movie, it's like, oh, this is the Marvel ending where, Captain America's back. And you're just waiting for, oh, here comes Cillian Murphy. It's like, hey, kid, you need a hand?
Yeah.
But it's
if this was a
Jack O'Connell comes out, who was also in the other biggest horror movie of the year, Sinners.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just like, oh, that's cool to see him. But then just it's just, for me, my problem is, you already had one tonal shift kind of with the dad and stuff, like zombies, horror survival, and then it's like, oh, coming of age story with the mom, and it ends so sweetly and beautifully. That's where you end the movie, which we said before. But then it's like, here comes these kooky characters doing these wacky things. Are you ready for the third one? Like, what the fuck is
Yeah.
this? This movie is wild.
I think if they move that to a mid or post-credit scene, people would not be so upset. The fact that it's like in the movie, because all mid-credit and post-credit feels like, well, if you lost it, you don't lose the movie.
Yeah.
This is part of the movie, and it comes out of nowhere to bring a character back we haven't seen for an hour and a half. I understand why it rubs people the wrong way, but the more and more I sat on it, I was like, I kind of love it. It's kind of so fun and weird that I'm forgiving of it, and it kind of makes me like the movie even more because I don't mind that they are planning for the future. I say it all the time of, man, this show would have been good if we could go back in time and start it from the beginning with the knowledge of what we have, and they could write it better. Well, they have things that they have set up for future installments, and that Cillian Murphy is going to show up in the third one, and like they know what they're doing, so you just got to fucking trust them. And it may have been a weird tonal shift, but it was 3 minutes of the movie. You can't shoot down the whole thing because of that.
Yeah. But so the last thing I'll say, and then we'll wrap up, is so I saw that the plan is to do a trilogy. I was like, okay, great. And I think, I could be wrong, but I heard Danny Boyle is doing the third one.
Yes,
but he's not doing
someone
the
has
second
already
one.
shot the second one.
The
I think
second one is directed by Nia DaCosta,
Oh,
who directed the Marvels and Candyman movie.
huh? Okay.
And if you look at her IMDb, like, none of it's good. And it's such an interesting choice that she's the one doing it. And I wonder if, like,
I like
she had an
Candyman.
interesting take. What's up?
I like Candyman.
Yeah, you're like the only one. It's got like a 5.8 or something on IMDb. So it wasn't it didn't make a ton of money.
And especially
It wasn't
the Marvels
super
being
reviewable.
one of the biggest bombs of all time. But that's not really her fault.
No.
But
I mean,
But
I'm
that
rooting
used
for
to
her.
kill people's careers. You made a bad movie, you don't get to make a bad movie anymore. Now they just go, yeah, I will fire 100 other people, but we'll keep the director, like Zack Snyder. Oh, you're fucking your Batman versus Superman tanked? We'll fire these people, but you get to keep making your Justice League movie. Like, no, he made a bad movie. You fire him and you course correct. But anywho.
Yeah. I mean, give directors other shots, but like maybe, okay, I gave you $200 million to do Batman vs Superman. Now we'll give you $30 million to make something. Try again. If
Sure.
this works out well,
Yeah.
we'll give you another $200
Yeah,
million.
don't keep shoveling money into things that are not going to be profitable.
Yeah. It's like Scorsese has to fight for every fucking dollar.
Yeah,
Anything.
yeah.
Made. But they just keep cranking out shit. Anyway, so I hope she has an interesting take. 27 Weeks Later wasn't directed by Danny Boyle, but
No.
that movie fucking rips from what I
Yep.
remember.
Yep.
So hopefully this next sequel also is fucking sick, and I hope she, has interesting take on it, or I hope there's some nice big plan. I don't know. Maybe there is no plan. It's just like, do whatever you want, kid. But it makes me very not cynical, but I'm not super optimistic about this next entry,
Okay.
especially after Danny Boyle comes back and just, in my opinion, fucking knocks it out of the park. Like, I really, really like this movie, and it made me happy that he's still like whooping ass at like age 70 or whatever it is. So I just kind of wish he would just do the next two, but I'm all for new voices trying new things.
Because he did say like he saw a rough cut of the next one, so they had to have been filming them back to back, or at least close to, and like, well, I got to go off and help with the editing and things like that. Someone else has to take over for the second one, so I get why he maybe can't do it, but we'll see. That you a Danny Boyle, a non-Danny Boyle, a Danny Boyle. He alternates. Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, next week, maybe no episode, but it's F1 in Megan 2.0. So
I'm not going to see Megan.
I know you're not. I know you want to see F1. I don't give a shit about F1. Like, I kind of wish my dad was in town because I would totally take him to see F1. But personally, I don't care. So this may be a good week to skip, You see your movies, I'll see your movies, and then we could both talk about them the week after, which I think is Jurassic World.
I'm not excited for that one either.
What? Oh, man, I was just at, where was I? Walmart, and I was walking through the toy section, and they already got, like, what is it? It's called a D-Rex, and it's like I can't remember what the D stands for, but it was like
the skull thing.
Yeah, the weird alien thing. It's got tiny, tiny eyes and a big bulbous head. I don't know. Looks pretty cool. Actually, I have a video. I'll show you. You push a part on his tail, and it like roars, and then it shakes its head back and forth. Like I think it's supposed to be like eating, but it looks like I don't know or something.
Gotta cut that.
I'll bleep it so no one will know what I'm saying. But yeah, so probably next time you hear from us, we'll be talking Jurassic World or something. And we're in the summer season of big blockbusters.
Big shitty blockbusters. Go see 28 Years Later.
If you want to get in contact with us, we are at WRPLpodcast@gmail.com. We're on Instagram, TikTok, Threads, and Blue Sky. As always, I'm Ben.
And I'm Steve.
And keep consuming.